It's a Friday edition here on Zero Block 30, and today we have 6 rounds of the magazine. Round number 1, China is sick and tired of their boys growing up to become pussies, so they're sending out government-sponsored ads. Do we need that here in America? Well, it's hard to say. Round 2, Coast Guard fixes the light that the Round number 2, the Coast Guard fixes the light at the loneliest place in the world. And we aren't talking about PFC Bren's room in 2019, folks. Round number 3, moms in the military are getting screwed just because they got laid and are having some babies. Being a mom shouldn't end your career. That's brave of us, right? Take note, Chinese men. Round number 4. In this round, we're going to talk some World War I, monkey meat, AIDS, and the Venn diagram that connects them all. Round number 5, the new SecDef is issuing a Department of Defense-wide stand down over threats of extremism in the ranks. As an example, a sailor put a fucking noose by the rack of a black sailor in 2021.
Jeez.
Round number 6, the choir recruit of the National Guard lifted the spirits by lifting his voice in the world's most echorific room. You're going to want to hear about this because every platoon has a choir recruit. Right?
Like, and every platoon has an artist recruit. Every platoon has someone that can sing really well, and it always is a treat when they whip out their talent.
Every platoon has a guy who was supposed to go to Florida State on a full scholarship, decided to join the military instead.
Oh yeah, got in trouble, got some bad grades, got kicked out, so he tried to join the Marine Corps, tried to join the Army instead. What's your best, off the top of the brain, real quick? What's your favorite singing story of somebody singing around you in the military? Do you guys have one?
Singing?
I think when our plane was landing from Afghanistan, coming home, and the pilots put on Party of the USA as we were landing, and everybody, the whole plane, men, women, whatever, whoever was on the plane was up and singing. It was really fun.
Cons, you have one? You guys singing a lot in the Army? Over hills, over dales, we are going to Chippendales, and the Army keep rolling along.
I've actually never heard that one.
Hey, it's the Army today.
No, all right. Yeah, that's a new version of the Army goes rolling along I've yet to hear, so thank you for that. But no, I can't think of any off the top of my head.
Oh, well, when I was in MP school, we had, do you remember, did they do this still when you were there, Kate, where they had these almost like horse trailers that they would carry the Marines around in?
Yes, we were we called them cattle cars. They would shove us in the back of Connex boxes on wheels with no windows.
It was legit horse trailers is what they would put us in whenever we were gone. And anytime that we had to go a long ways, my platoon, we'd always sing, "Blame it all on my roots. I showed up in boots." And everybody would sing along in the back. It was so much fun.
It was. That was good times.
Yeah, good times. And when Kate looked totally normal in her Charlies too.
Yeah, I was busting out of my Charlies. That's when they would sing "Fat Bottom Girls" in the horse trailer. It was, the big horse.
And all that's going to be brought to you by our friends at Roman. Valentine's Day is coming up, and a lot of you guys, and I mean that, you're going to have a little pressure to perform, because if you haven't gone on a date in a while, let's say both of you and a significant other of your choosing have both had your coronavirus vaccine, so you're trying to go get a little strange, wipe it on. You're going to be dealing with a little ED, maybe. I mean, maybe you are. I don't know. But Roman's got you covered either way. For a limited time, Roman has special offers to make sure you're ready for Valentine's Day. Get up to 35% off your first month of ED treatment if prescribed, and if you purchase swipes, you'll get a free bottle of lube. Your order. The whole process is straightforward and discreet. One less thing you have to worry about on V Day when you try to stick it in her V on that day. For a limited time, get up to 35% off your early ED treatment if prescribed, and you're gonna get some swipes. Make sure you go visit by February 10th for guaranteed delivery by Valentine's Day. Just go to getroman.com/0 to get started. That's getroman.com/0. Let's get started with the show.
You don't want love to be a slippery slope unless you're using Roman products. Am I right?
That's exactly right, Kate. Well
Free
done.
lube.
That's exactly right. Got to lube it up, folks, like a rifle. You just gotta put that CLP
of the genitals.
Yeah. CLP for your D.
Indeed.
Or your V. Or your B.
Depends on who you are.
Speaking of
or your
chaps,
BH.
Chaps and cons, I saw you were on the Instagram page Veterans with a Sign
Yes.
recently that has a pretty big following. So I'm going up on there soon, but they did context fine. I'm doing this is my sign that I'm holding up, okay? For the Veterans of the Sign.
All right.
No, we never did that with our M16 buffers at boot camp. Do you know what that means? Because
the rumor for a long time is that ladies would take apart their weapons and put it on their nice little towel that has all the different M16 or M4 parts, and then they would take that buffer, take it back to their rack, remove the bedding, and insert it into their vaginas.
Yes, there was a rumor that we would use the buffers like dildos. If you've ever seen one of these buffers, they're so tiny.
That would hurt, no?
They're so, well, depending on how wide set you are. No, they're small. But it's the CLP that would get you. I mean like all of it together. It would sting. Yeah, I think you're right. But anyway, the guy who runs the account's super nice, but he hadn't heard of that. And I was like, are you sure? I thought every guy at boot camp was told, like, you know what the girls do at boot camp with their buffers.
We used to call that in the biz.
What?
Carbon coochie is what we used to call that.
Go carbon cooch. Yeah, absolute. Yep. But anyway, I just wanted to bring that up for no reason.
No, I'm glad you did.
I never did that.
Let's get started with the show.
Okay.
All right, now that we got our weapons all put back together, we are here on another edition of Zero Block 30. I'm excited. Big week all around. It feels normally Kate and I talk every day. We haven't talked in a while. We haven't talked since the last
don't have radio
episode.
anymore.
No radio.
Oh, how's that working out this week?
I actually text him back now. I'm like, hey, what's going on?
Yeah, it's weird not doing it. One, because we used to do that at the end of the day, and that was like what you do at the end of the day. It was almost like a guard mount at the end of the day of sorts. And now I don't have that. So I just been buying a house, I guess.
I have no idea what he's up to.
Something else to do with my time.
Yeah. So you bought a house. Can you tell us a little bit about it? Because
I put an offer in. It was accepted. It's in the very beginning stages. I hope it works out. It's got an awesome pool. It's fantastic.
Well, it's just
we don't want to talk too much right now because there's so much that goes into buying a house. And it's very easy that I don't mean to be Debbie Downer, but it could fall through. It's not like a done deal unless you have the keys and everything signed. That's when it's a done deal.
Well, so I'm knocking on wood. I just like that chap said, I'm pissed that they're bulldozing the green belt behind my backyard. I'm pissed they're putting up apartments. I'm out. And literally within like 2 weeks, you're like, yep, I'm already buying a new house. Like it was so quick. It was just a quick rip of the Band-Aid off. So I'm excited for you. I hope it works out. Very excited.
I did not want to wait around and have a shitty summer with people looking in my windows. I wanted to go and dip myself into the pool. So I'm excited about all that. Yeah.
Imagine some of the neighbors you would have in that apartment building just sitting out there on their balconies and you're in your backyard trying to have some peace and quiet. And then there's Phyllis again being annoying, or there's
probably
Rob.
Fucking Rodney.
Classic Rodney. I'm sorry if your name is Rodney, especially if you're a troop.
Rodney and Rick. Those are the two worst. And Mitch.
Sorry, if your name's Rick, you're a bad father.
If your name's Rodney, Rick, or Mitch, and you listen to this show and you subscribe, we apologize.
Yeah, I told people when I was on Podfathers that if your name is Mitch, I wanted you to stop listening to the show.
Why? Why Mitch?
Mitch the bitch. I don't like that.
The seedy vibes from all three of them. Truly. Sorry, but
so Kate, you're on the precipice of having a child.
Yeah.
Chaps, you have 2 children. Kyle, you have children. And I wonder, when you're naming your children, I have to imagine you try to think ahead and you think like, okay, what are any possible nicknames that are detrimental to my kid's psyche could there be?
Not even just nicknames, but associations.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So associations too. It's got to be really demoralizing though if they come home from school and they say, oh, so-and-so called me a bad name. Oh, what'd they call you? And they say something that you didn't think of. And you're just like, ah!
I knew it was going to be Cardi Farty right away. I knew that was going to happen.
Yeah, that's tough. That's tough.
And Kelsey, she was going to be one of the names that I had thought about for her was Brianna. But then Brianna Loves Jenna took over the Marine Corps, which was a big time porno movie, and couldn't have that.
Speaking of, I'm interviewing a Bella Danger this afternoon for another.
Are you?
Yeah.
For out and about?
Best ass again. 2021.
Congratulations to Bella.
Yeah.
All right, let's get going with the show here. We got round number 1.
I'm just gonna kill every conversation.
No, I like that. That's pretty good. Sprinkle Dinkles just opened the door. So what do we have for round number 1, Kate?
We have a notice from China's education ministry. You guys probably got it. That has caused a stir after it suggested young Chinese men had become too feminine. The message has been criticized as sexist by many online users, but some say China's male celebrities are partly to blame. For a while, China's government has signaled concern that the country's most popular male role models are no longer strong athletic figures like army heroes, in quotation marks. Even President Xi Jinping, I probably butchered that, a well-known football enthusiast, has long been seeking to cultivate better sports stars.
Talking soccer there. He's not a West Point football team.
Right. Not a big football guy. So last week, the Education Ministry issued a notice with a title that left no doubt about its ultimate goal. And this is what it's called: The Proposal to Prevent the Feminization of Male Adolescents.
I'm pretty sure the Navy actually came up with that. Like, that's a very military type acronym.
Yeah. Called on schools to fully reform their offerings on phys ed and strengthen their recruitment of teachers. The text advised recruiting retired athletes and people from sports backgrounds and vigorously developing particular sports like soccer with a view of cultivating students' masculinity. It's a decisive push in a country where the media
pick a better sport to model after. Like, you couldn't go hockey. Like, your manliest sport is fucking soccer.
Well, no, don't take that away from them, because
I'm going to take it away.
Well, I just think it's such a huge sport globally that we look at it very differently than the rest of the world views it.
Well, I mean, you want to talk, like, if you were going stereotypical male, like what you would want there, I think you're thinking hockey, football, wrestling. I mean, even there you could go judo, you could do jiu-jitsu.
All right,
There's a million things.
I agree with you. And actually, it just came to mind too. I feel like globally rugby is very big too. So maybe rugby would have been better too.
If you do, I mean, just imagine having a country full of thick ass dudes. That'd be awesome.
Rugby thighs, there is nothing like
Save
it. Let
lives.
me tell you.
That's what they say in the biz.
Certainly do. But for China, this is a decisive push in a country where the media doesn't really allow for anything other than squeaky clean, socially responsible stars.
Right. This is the part of the story that really took me aback a little bit, because they're talking about how they want to do all this shit. And then the way that they, like, because the Chinese government is in charge of how they do social media, how they do TV, how they do everything over there, the way that they want their guys to be in media is just weird.
Yes. And you're right. There's no, like, everything has to be, if you're a celebrity or a big time influencer there, I feel like China kind of grooms you and corrals you to be a certain way. And so whatever, but a lot of people are online are saying, how is feminization is now a derogatory term. Boys are also humans, being emotional, timid, gentle. These are human characteristics. What are men afraid of being the same as women? There are 70 million more men than women in this country, another claimed. No country in the world has such a deformed sex ratio. Isn't that masculine enough? So a lot of people saying, like, fuck this. This is ridiculous.
It was really short-sighted when they try to curb the population there, and they're only trying to have male babies and shit like that. Who are they going to be fucking?
Yeah, not great. On the social media platform, Sina Weibo, is it Weibo? I always say that wrong. But it's huge over there. It's like that's their
it's
main
like their Twitter.
Yeah. Comments pointed towards China's male celebrities being blamed, who are known as little fresh meats. This is a buzzword that refers to young Chinese male icons who are seen as squeaky clean, well-groomed with delicate features.
Imagine being told, like, you come out, you're a singing star, essentially like you're like a Chinese NSYNC, and you come out and you're like, oh, you're a fresh little meat. You're like, what the heck?
Fresh little meat.
Fresh little meat?
What are you doing with me? What? Huh?
Well, their president's hoping they become world soccer superpower by 2050. And if they don't, he's going to be like, what the heck?
Me? I'm big meat.
What
the? I'm big meat.
You don't talk to me like that. You don't say that.
What the?
Big meat?
Fresh little meat? What the heck?
Yeah, I got mascara. So what?
What? What the heck?
Yeah, I gel my hair.
Meanwhile, the government has been on a drive in recent months to introduce and promote new young role models for the Chinese, Where women are concerned, the pandemic has been a good opportunity to demonstrate the significant role of women as frontline workers. And China's achieved. So basically, women are getting shoved back down, and they're trying to make men tough. I don't know.
And here's the last line that I want to really include here. In recent years, media have struggled to allow young male stars to appear on Chinese screens with tattoos or earrings. And one of China's top pop stars came under fierce criticism online when he was pictured just smoking.
Oh, man.
Just ripping heaters.
And I'll tell you, there's nothing manlier than my first
tell
husband.
That to John Wayne that he shouldn't be doing that.
First saw him smoke pit ripping a heater, and I was like, that is what I want. So
I mean, you do. Like, whenever I saw a picture the other day of Franklin Roosevelt and Churchill sitting around, both of them sitting down ripping heaters together. I'm like, come on. That looks fucking awesome.
It's cool as shit. Smoking's so cool. It really is.
Yeah,
it just is.
You're trying to tell me Johnny Depp's not cool when he's ripping a heater? You're trying to tell me John Boehner isn't cool when he's sitting there with his third pack of the day?
Johnny Depp was cool smoking the heater before the whole poop in the bed thing, but he's rebuked. But anybody else smoking, I'm here for it for sure. Light him up.
Isn't it crazy though how like the rest of the world views smoking in general, and just it's especially in China, I think it's like super widely accepted, and
Japan too.
Japan, all these Asian countries, and Europe
France,
especially.
France.
Yeah.
It's more odd in Japan because they take such good care of themselves. Like stereotypically they do. Like the Okinawans are the longest living people in the world, and they are ripping heaters all the time. Everywhere, riding mopeds with their fucking cigarettes in their mouth. It's unbelievable.
I'm in the wrong country. I want to go back to Afghanistan and get my Chinese Pines cigarettes.
Yeah, but you had to, I mean, some of those, like the Miamis, you had to suck so hard to get anything out of it. It was like the smoking version of a milkshake.
When I put down my
trying to smoke a Frosty.
It really was, with the fucking French fry in the straw.
A golf ball through a garden hose, friends, to get that sweet smoke out, but not filtered. Yeah, no,
good competition to watch, right?
Who can smoke one of those the fastest?
No, who can suck a golf ball through a garden hose the quickest?
No.
Okay.
Young Kate.
All right, so that's what's going on in China. There's also a story while this is going on of a dude named Xi who got engaged to a custom-made sex doll in 2020, and he has also welcomed a new baby doll to his family. Kate, you might recognize with this. He's 36, lives with his parents, and a silicone partner made in China as well. He first got attracted to realistic dolls 10 years ago when he passed by a store selling them in Hong Kong, and he decided to buy one. It cost 80,000 won, which he couldn't afford. But in October 2019, he saved a little money, got one for 10,000 won, and he made an order for it. And now he has welcomed a brand new bubbling baby, and maybe even a Poop's doll, which is nice.
That's the way to go because the hospital bill's probably so low.
Just open it up, do those little snappy bands that they have.
No, it's kind of like Operation. Did you guys play that Operation?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I actually just started following this guy on TikTok. He's got like 1.5 million followers. He's got Tourette's, and he is hilarious. Easily one of the funniest people on social media that I have ever watched. And he decided to play Operation with his family. And his kids are so funny. Like when they're dealing with each other, it's just so great. I want to bring back Operation and play it with my family just from watching that.
You should, but there's something else that we need to discuss right now because it's slowly but surely getting out of hand. The TikToks that you have been sharing, the group chat, some are problematic. That's just from my vantage point.
Wait, is this an intervention?
A little bit.
We need to talk to you about this. Play the xylophone music.
Which one? Which one was bad?
Chaps, every TikTok you send, I don't even open anymore because they're usually so disgusting.
That's when it's bad. You sent the one that was a booger. That was a meal. I don't even know what that was. Kate's going to throw up right now just hearing that.
It was like a booger the size of a golf ball, and somebody used it as like the oil to cook an omelet. And then the grossest one easily was that dude who had dandruff so bad and caked on that when they unclumped it, there was fucking grubs underneath it. Like,
I actually didn't see that one.
Grubs.
All right, you can resend that one.
Worms.
Okay.
No,
all right.
No, don't resend it. Don't resend it.
Anyways, I can see, speaking of sex, like in China, if there's 70% more men than women, I bet there's a lot of
more. Yeah.
I bet there's a lot of fellas out there who live with dolls now.
Yeah. I mean, because think if you 70, like you're down 70, you walk into a spot, you got to be the king of the castle. You got to be the belle of the ball in order to really attract anybody.
Yeah.
Damn.
Every round is going to go off.
Let's move on to round number 2. This one has to deal with the Coast Guard, and it's not about drugs. In Lake Superior, Michigan, after a harsh winter storm blew out a window in a very remote Standard Rock lighthouse in Lake Superior, a team from the U.S. Coast Guard cutter Alder hitched a ride on a Jayhawk helicopter from the Coast Guard Traverse City to make an icy repair. Teams had been worried the missing window could threaten the electronics inside and even the working light at the historic lighthouse that sits on the eastern shore of Michigan's Kinawa Peninsula. Built 24 miles from the upper peninsula shoreline, the Standard Rock is considered the lighthouse farthest from the shore in the contiguous United States. That has earned its grim moniker as the world's loneliest place. Would you guys agree? I disagree, but that's the world's loneliest place.
Say 24 miles from anywhere in the middle of what essentially is like a freshwater ocean, and in the boonies. Yes, I would say. And that was a lot of Coast Guard jargon. Basically, they went out to change a light bulb on a very far away lighthouse. But
I just think it's crazy that the Great Lakes are that big.
It is crazy.
You wouldn't think that.
Good point, Cons.
Thank you.
This lighthouse right now, I put photos of it, which is great for our listeners that can't see. The lighthouse is very small, and it sits on literally just this. It's just a couple rocks that stick out of the water on this
like a little buoy lighthouse.
It almost looks like a buoy, but it's covered in ice. They say 30-foot waves crash into it, sending 100-foot sprays. And it's basically like a giant ice tower that they had to go out to, which is impressive to me. And basically, 2 guys got like lowered down in a basket, 2 Coast Guard guys, while the helicopter like waited for them to fix this window and change the. So
and the craziest part is that there was already somebody inside the lighthouse whenever this was going on. They just didn't have the light bulb. And when the helicopter was flying above it, the guy just like poked his head out the little lighthouse door. And he was like, "Do you want to build a snowman?"
Not the
Doesn't
case.
have to be a snowman.
Not true. That is not what happened here. But the reason I put this in there,
and
and
saying let it snow, not snowman. That'd be silly.
This little lighthouse in the middle, it's Standard Rock Station. It was built in 1883, and it's the National Park Service considers it one of the top 10 engineering feats in the United States. This little tiny lighthouse.
We need to step it up.
Yeah, seriously, that's our barrier. That's our bar.
Because it was built in the middle of nowhere on just 4 feet it was literally just 4 little feet of rock that stuck out of the ground, but there was enough rock under it that was fucking ships up all the time out there. And it's considered a stag station where it used to be. Now it's electronic, but you used to get stuck out there by yourself. They would send male keepers, and they couldn't bring their families. They couldn't bring anyone else. And I just wanted to read this spooky little, just kept the vibe. The old keepers told terrible tales of life on the rock.
Can you do it in a pirate voice, though?
Violent northwest storm sent 30-foot waves smashing into the tower and spray cascading over the lantern row 110 feet above the lake. Lewis Wilkes from Marquette holds the record for consecutive time spent on the rock, 99 days. No other keeper ever approached this remarkable feat. The men were
there for 99 days.
99 days. That's a lot of beating your meat. The men were rotated off the rock
when
3 weeks on and off.
There was only 98 bottles of beer on the wall.
In 1939,
bottles of beer.
The Coast Guard took over the lighthouse, and overwhelming loneliness still remained a problem. But then in 1962, there was a fatal fire and explosion.
62.
1962, there was so Coast Guardies that were stuck on this fucking rock in the middle of nowhere until 62, until a fatal fire and explosion left survivors stranded there for days until they were noticed by a passing ship. In 71, the lighthouse was put on the Register of Historic Places. It's still working, helping boats and airplanes, and a lot of interesting history. But the Coast Guard hooked it up. They made it so that ships aren't crashing on the reef out there. They're still doing okay. But I just thought that was the Coast Guard does so many things that I just didn't realize they did.
It is
that's because you don't care, Kate. That's really what that comes down to. And actually, I was looking up a little bit more about this lighthouse. No, Kate, don't act like you don't care about the Coast Guard.
I love the Coast Guard.
But so I was looking something up. So actually, one of the other uses for this lighthouse is when they have kind of like similar to NJPs, like somebody does something that's not terrible, but they have to get punished. They have to go out there on a boat by themselves. And then to prove that they're actually out there, they have to come over the radio and sing This Little Light of Mine. That's what they make them do.
Oh,
I like that. I like
that.
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine.
That being said, make sure you listen to Barstool Confessions, which is me and Feidelberg's new Bible podcast. You can find it on YouTube by searching Barstool Confessions.
Yeah, I forgot that was a Bible song.
Also, before we leave the Coast Guard segment, we said this one wasn't about drugs, but they did have a 211 million drug bust in the Pacific this week. So they're changing light bulbs.
You know what's crazy about the Coast Guard is I think they do great stuff like that so often. That's why it's not put in the news. Like a $211 drug bust, that's just like a Tuesday.
$11 million.
$211 million drug bust. That's a Tuesday for the Coast Guard. They're just doing it all the time. So we don't have to talk about it all the time.
I'm going to say it. They're my second favorite branch.
Oh, yeah, easily.
They're not even, everyone's like, well, they're not, actually, they're not like a branch. Okay. Well,
they're part of Homeland Security. Shut up. We'll bring them back. We'll kick out the space. How does Space Force get in?
Oh, my God.
And the Coast Guard doesn't.
Guys, we need to talk about the Space Force.
Why? What
now the big thing.
I don't know. It's just they're getting a lot.
Supposedly, Biden's people made fun of the Space Force somehow in some way.
Well,
good. They're a bunch of fucking boots.
Yeah, and people were like, "Oh, you can't make fun of them.
Those are the troops. You can't make fun of the troops."
All 27 people in the Space Force are super offended.
Yeah.
Shut up, Space Force. Go to rockyboots.com and get your boots. They might even have some for you, you boot ass bitches, because they are a fantastic company that cares about everybody, even the Space Force. Unlike us, they have, no matter what branch of service you're in, whatever you do, they have a boot for you. They just sent me a bunch. I was looking like a little snack walking around, going to check out different houses and everything, put on my different boots and was going in, make it look like I have some money. It was awesome. Rocky Boots has the best boots for service members. They make awesome boots for times between deployments or service, whether you're hiking up a rocky, icy mountainscape like Kate used to do, or if you're just out there rocking for working out in Hoboken like Connor, you could do that in rockyboots.com. Enter the promo code ZBT. You're going to get 25% off your next pair of boots. 25% off is an outrageous deal. Go make sure you take care of that. Take care of our people at Rocky Boots. They're awesome. Make sure you go to rockyboots.com. Enter the promo code ZBT at checkout for your next pair of boots. Next up, we have a story that was making some waves from military.com about military moms that are getting screwed. Kate is in the process of having a baby. She is growing a human, which is pretty incredible. Like, I can't even grow cucumbers in my backyard, and Kate is growing a baby with her lack of sleep, which is incredible.
But I'm sure, I mean, you guys have seen, and Cons, I'm sure you've been around, but like, your body goes through insane changes. It really is like an enormous change to yourself that affects you pretty much the rest of your life a lot of times.
You were talking about that on Twitter last night, and it took people aback.
It did. I feel like I'm going to say it. I don't know if a vagina has bones, but whatever those bones are down there, it feels like they're like Pangea is breaking apart and something's going to happen soon. Lava? I don't know. Anyway, so just setting the tone for this story here. A lot happens to your body, okay? Gunnery Sergeant Juliana Pinder's 16-year Marine Corps career is about to come to an end, and not by choice. The combat engineer with the California-based 7th Engineer Support Battalion has spent months fighting for a second look at her reenlistment request. It was denied twice last year over an adverse 2018 fit rep she received after her second daughter was born. As a staff sergeant based
So wait,
in
let me
Okinawa.
explain a little bit what an adverse fitness report is for a staff NCO, because you have two different types of promotion on the enlisted side. You have your E5 and below promotion, which run off of cutting scores, composite scores, or just time in service for promotion, time in service, time in grade. Well, once you get to be a sergeant and you're looking an E5, you're looking to be an E6, you have what's called fitness reports. You're ranked against the other people that are in your unit, you're ranked against other people that are in your same battalion, and then if you get an adverse, it's a career ruiner for you. Like if you get an adverse fitness report, it means that you did something so egregious that you had to do formal negative counseling. If you get an adverse fitness report as a E5, E6, or E7, for the most part, your career is over. You're
never going to make it to your 20 years. And she's at 16 years. So as a staff sergeant based in Okinawa, Pinder was working to drop her pregnancy weight after her daughter's 2016 birth. The Marine Corps requires women to be back inside height and weight standards within 9 months of having a child. But at 4 months old, Pinder's daughter Liliana was significantly smaller than other babies her age. She was only in the 3rd percentile, so very, very tiny baby. And the pediatrician diagnosed her with a condition called failure to thrive, which can have long-term effects on development that can affect this child the rest of its life into adulthood. So Pinder's attention quickly shifted from dropping enough weight to staying healthy enough so that she could continue to breastfeed her daughter. That's like one of the best things that you could do for nutrients for your kid to keep her daughter healthy. The pediatrician recommended she keep breastfeeding for at least a year, was told to switch back to a high calorie diet and limit exercise to low impact options so she could keep producing milk. So the Marine Corps is telling her, no, you have to lose this weight. And she's like, fuck you guys, I want to keep my kid alive. So I had to make the conscious and correct decision to put my daughter's health above my weight loss, she wrote in a 3-page letter requesting to have her reenlistment denial reconsidered. That right there just makes me like rage inside that she even had to do that in the first place.
In order to do this, to give a little background here, this is all at the commander's discretion. The CO here did not have to do this. This is not something they had to do. The CO gets a medical advisement, and I don't think a lot of people know this. Like in the military, when you have a medical doctor tells you something, you bring it back to your command, and your command ultimately has the authority to say, I don't give a fuck what medical says. This is what you're doing. They don't it's just advisement. They don't have to take it.
And Pinder said her leaders knew fully what the health issues were and what her child was facing and could have granted her a waiver to give her more time to get back into standards. Instead, she was put in the BCP program, body composition program, which again, in the Marine Corps can be a just total career killer, especially if
typically for food blisters.
Yeah. Staff NCO. There were other options, she told the military.com. They just were not used. She's now set to leave the Marine Corps on February 10th, 4 years shy of 20 needed to earn most military benefits.
Terrible.
That's the biggest part, is that she's at 16 and you see that light at the end of the tunnel, and knowing you're going to get your full retirement benefits for the rest of your life kind of gives you a little breathing room when you leave the military to transition and you still have that money coming in and you're still taken care of through the VA. So that's tough.
Well, this is also someone who clearly loves the fucking Marine Corps and put 16 years of their life into it. And by all accounts, until this dumb bullshit, and still was doing a good job, Pinder has taken her case all the way up to the top Marine general. In a letter to General David Berger, the gunnery sergeant cited the commandant's 2019 planning guidance, in which Berger wrote, no Marine should be asked to choose between being the best parent possible and being the best Marine possible. I did have to choose, and I chose the best to be the best parent possible, Pinder wrote. I took responsibility for gaining weight in order to produce breast milk, which is unanimously recommended by pediatricians and proven to be the best form of nourishment for an infant. Considering the reason why I was assigned to BCP, I believe I was unfairly penalized for choosing my child's life above my well-being. Now that's costing my career. She said she never received a response from the commandant on her appeal to remain in the Corps. Questions submitted by military.com to Berger's office were referred to a different office. He was my last hope, she said. He's the one pushing out guidance on supporting women, but his lower generals aren't adhering to his policies. And it just is so shitty, because I promise you, hers is not the only case like that. And that pregnancy in the military is still viewed as malingering, is still viewed as women trying to get out of stuff, is still viewed in such a negative, awful light. And it sucks that General Berger and higher ups are not doing something for her and for, I guarantee you there's so many other stories like this out there. It's just such a bummer. They're trying to say, oh, still the Marine Corps has such a low amount. It's like 8% women now still compared to the other branches. It's still so embarrassingly
and even less
low
when you start getting up to the staff NCO ranks.
And there's reasons for that. And it's an embarrassment and it's a shame. And the Marine Corps is missing out and losing out because of that. We have just as much value and worth to offer as the men. And I think shit like this sucks. It
absolutely sucks. And honestly, if you're a male commander and you're dealing with females, I'm not a doctor. I'm certainly not an OBGYN. So if someone comes and tells me, hey, this is what my doctor told me, who knows about this stuff and does this for a living, I would just defer to them and say, oh, okay, if that's what the doctor says, and not at 16 years in the military think they're trying to get over. You give them the benefit of the doubt that they've served honorably for 16 years. So you say, okay, if this is what the doctor is telling you, then let's figure out a plan and I'll adhere to that, because I'm not about to tell you, no, I don't care what he says. This is what you're doing. And
even if you don't believe the person that this is what's going on, as the commander, you have the right to get a brief from the medical personnel as well, like to explain the situation. They're not going to violate your HIPAA rights, but they definitely can give you an overview of what's going on and how it affects your military readiness. And if it doesn't affect your day-to-day job, like I understand having different like policies put into place if something affects your job, your ability to do your job technically or tactically proficient. But if it doesn't, who cares? Like let the person keep their baby alive. That seems like a pretty standard thing.
Yeah. And she's not alone. This military.com is the one who put out this article. And there was a story of another woman in there too, who basically pregnancy is still really negatively affecting. Go read the article, but pregnancy is just, I just remember, I've talked about it on the show before, but I remember how pregnant women were viewed and talked about. And it hasn't been that long since I was in, like, I know it's still the same and it has to change. It's so disappointing. If anything, chaps, you know how hard it is to be a parent in the military. If anything, these women are multitaskers who are stronger than anybody I can imagine. I get DMs from women because as I'm sharing my pregnancy on social media, I get a lot of women in the military reaching out to me and who are still doing like badass shit and leading a ton of people while I'm complaining about like going to the grocery store and they're like, hey, I'm 6.5 months and I'm leading like 100 Marines right now, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh, you're better than me.
I'm actually responding to this DM while I'm doing PT. I'm in the middle of a formation run.
You know, there was a huge double standard involved with being a single parent too. Like, I can't tell you how many times different women were almost looked down upon because they were single mothers in the military and they were doing their thing and raising their babies. But when I got to a place and I was a single dad raising the kid while I was on active duty, people took it as like, holy shit, he's like going above and beyond. It was such an extreme double standard. Like it was unbelievable just to see firsthand. And being put in that position and knowing what so many women went through, like it gives me a different perspective of it's not laziness. You're not having a baby to get out of work. It creates a shit ton of work whenever you have a baby. At least when you don't have a baby, you go home from the barracks at 6 o'clock. The only thing that you have to do is make your fucking hot pocket for the day.
Right. So it's crazy. Marine Corps, fix yourself. General Berger, like what can I like want to send him a lot like, hey, old crusty old burger, old
burger head ass.
Hey, hamburger,
burger head ass,
burglar.
Overcooked.
You know what? The thing is, okay, you know, we're talking about the Marines, obviously, but it's across the military in general.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, this is not unique to the Marine Corps. It's unfortunate that women face this no matter what branch of the military they're in. Even down to the fact that I don't know about the other branches, but I know in the Army, they have different uniforms for women who are pregnant. And it's just really, it's an odd looking thing. And it's almost like, you know, aside from the physical, it really is a sign that says, hey, I'm pregnant, treat me different.
Maternity camis look like shit.
Yeah. A man designed it. It's almost like it's like a scarlet A.
It's like a schmuck. Like you're wearing a fucking schmuck.
Yeah, exactly. And Kate, you're right. It's a scarlet. It's a scarlet letter for sure. That's a great way to put it.
Have you ever seen the pregnancy service alphas? Because those are without a doubt the
No.
worst uniform.
Oh
I mean,
God, man.
it's like
Insane.
look like lunch lady
green
shit.
vest. Yeah, it's the worst. You cannot look good, and they don't have pregnancy blues. So at the balls, all the pregnant women have to wear those fucking sacks. It looks like a potato sack.
You look like a fucking olive drab grimace whenever you wear it.
Yes, honestly, yes.
They're horrible.
Military, fix yourself. Be better. God damn it.
Yeah, let's get going with round number 4. We're going to talk a little bit about AIDS.
It just keeps getting happier this episode. It really does. Yeah.
It really does. All right. World War I, AIDS was likely to made the leap from chimpanzees to human because of a starving World War I soldier who was forced to hunt the animal for food, according to a new book. The unknown, quote, patient zero was part of the invasion force of 1,600 Belgian and French troops who, along with 4,000 African aides, had traveled to Leopoldville. Is that it?
In the Bell, yes.
In Belgian Congo to a remote outpost in Cameroon, says Canadian microbiologist Jacques Pepin.
Great name.
It's on me, Jacques Pepin, who once worked as a bush doctor in Central Africa in the 1980s. Pepin, a professor in Department of Microbiology and Infectious Disease at the Université de Sherbrooke in Quebec, makes the intriguing hypothesis that focus a new edition of his famed book, quote, The Origin of AIDS. Patient zero was likely injured after killing a subspecies of chimp, troglodytes, something infected a human virus that was a precursor to HIV or the human immunodeficiency virus, the virus that causes AIDS. Ben writes writes recently published in the Cambridge Press University. Good Lord.
You don't have to. I should have edited that down a little bit. Long story short, long story short, this biologist is saying he has found evidence that because people thought it was some out in the Congo, or whatever, some hunter somewhere, and it turns out it was a soldier. These guys. Well,
let's be honest. People thought it's because folks were funky monkeys.
Yes.
Yeah. But these guys believe that these soldiers were like stranded out in the middle of nowhere. It was not a native hunter. It was instead a starving World War I soldier forced to hunt chimpanzees for food when his regiment got stuck in a remote forest in Cameroon and ran out of food and supplies. So they're stuck in the middle of the boonies. They have nothing else to do. And it's like, we have to, anything you can find to eat, find and eat it. And that is where they think it actually, patient zero actually came from, was from these troops desperately in the jungle trying to get some food. So dire straits, not great. And it's just kind of an interesting, kind of a big deal because that's a whole different narrative than the one we know.
Yeah, I've never heard World War I mentioned ever.
Yeah.
And I've read a lot. I've watched a lot of documentaries about AIDS, and never has that even been something said off the cuff by anybody. So that's fascinating that we've known so much for so long. And then there's one prescribed narrative that everyone agrees to, that there's this other detail that could potentially change everything.
Yeah. And it also reminds me, there's so many other military conflicts and stuff out there that I'm like, World War I, what were we doing in the Congo and blah, blah, blah. Like there's so much more to, I'm just a big dumb. So I wanted to share that round.
No, I like that. What's your favorite primate? Do you guys have one?
It's always, sometimes you put me on the spot and I don't have an answer. And this is one of those times.
They freak me out. Their little hands, like little pickpocket.
It's got to be a silverback gorilla for me, I guess.
Yeah, that's similar vibe.
Mine is the bonobo. Are you familiar with the bonobo?
No.
Big butt.
I need to know some more.
All right. So a bonobo kind of looks like a regular chimpanzee, but they are known for their sexual activity. Bonobos do not give a fuck if you're male or female. They're fucking. Like this is just a group of monkeys who will just go around. Your penis is out, your vagina's out. They're gonna suck it. They're gonna flick on it. They're gonna do something to it as soon as they see it. They just absolutely love it. They're the horniest creature in the world. They don't have permanent monogamous relationships with individual partners. They don't discriminate by sex with age, gender, or anything like that, or sex. They don't have any of that stuff. They just go around straight fuck all the time. And the females, whenever they're sitting around doing stuff, they actually will just, if you're just sitting around hanging out and you're looking for something to eat, the female bonobos will just rub on each other's vaginas while they're sitting there. Everybody just rubs.
And they smoke cigarettes, which is
right.
pretty cool afterwards.
And they're one of the only animals known to have an actual G-spot, which is pretty cool.
Okay.
That's amazing. I heard the male bonobos actually know where the clitoris is.
They do. Yeah, you're joking, but they do.
That.
And whenever they get turned on, they have one of the only non-human swelling clitorises. So.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
We're dropping
looks like a grub worm that you would find under somebody's dandruff hair.
Mm.
All right, what do we got next?
This.
Yikes.
Let's play a little. Let's play a little Birdie Higgins.
By the way, for those that don't know, what happened last week?
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I can't believe we didn't mention this. The Barstool and Sirius XM ended their contract together. So the Chaps and Kate show, which was 5 nights a week, is no more. But we always, on both this show and on that show, played Birdie Higgins as our palate cleanser. And our producer at Sirius, Eric, got Birdie Higgins on the phone for us. So Chaps and I got to have an actual conversation with him.
It turns out he's an Army vet.
He's an Army vet.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes,
how about that? I didn't know.
The king of Tropic Yacht Rock, Army vet. He had no idea who we were or why he was on the phone with us. But he was like, hold on, my cat Pepper's running all over my desk. I'm down here in Florida. He was a delight. So
he kept calling me Chuck, not Chaps.
He did. He really did. So.
Oh man, God bless him. That's fantastic. What'd you say, Chuck?
He sounds like everybody's grandfather who just sits around drinking nothing but pina coladas all day.
Yes.
Pina colada breath, grandpa.
Love it.
All right, here he is. Birdie Higgins.
Our friend.
Our friend, Birdie Higgins. All right, so this story comes to us from military.com. It says a sailor has admitted to hanging a noose near a fellow crew member's bunk aboard a Navy cruiser and has since been removed from the ship, according to the service official. The Criminal Investigative Service received an anonymous tip that a noose was found on a guided missile cruiser, Lake Champlain, prompting a federal investigation. The suspect's social media presence so far not indicated a history of racist posts, the official familiar with the incident said. They're not charged, they're not under arrest, they're not in custody, they're just not on the ship. Commander Nicole Schwegman confirmed that the NCIS is investigating the matter, and she declined to comment further, citing the ongoing investigation. They said that the Navy takes all allegations of sailor misconduct and racial discrimination seriously. The Lake Champlain was in port when the noose was found on January 26. NCIS interviewed several crew members about the noose, which eventually led to the suspect.
Before you go on, because it gets into policy here now. First of all, who gives a fuck that whoever did it, I don't know why they included that they hadn't shown any racist stuff. They hadn't done anything racist online. Well, they're doing it in person, so I don't give a fuck what they've done online. Like
Timothy McVeigh had never blown up the Oklahoma City building until he did it.
Yeah.
Right. I don't know why the Navy would be like, but by the way, he's never blah, blah, blah. Before.
I think that they're trying to cover themselves to be like, they didn't show anything that would lead you to believe that he would do this type of thing.
Right. They're trying to identify if there was a pattern and it was ignored.
This motherfucker. All right, sorry.
Yep. So the Navy Task Force on Wednesday released the report, which included dozens of recommendations to stamp out racist and discriminatory practices. The Chief of Naval Operations, Admiral Mike Gilday, created a task force last summer after the death of George Floyd, a black man who died in police custody. The Navy cannot tolerate discrimination of any kind, Gilday said this week, and sailors must engage in open and honest conversations with one another. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin has made getting rid of racist and extremists in the ranks a top priority, and he directed members of the Joint Chiefs of Staff this week to conduct several service-wide stand-downs in the next 60 days to address the problem, the Pentagon spokesman John Kirby said on Wednesday.
Yeah, I say this person, get them the fuck out of the Navy immediately.
Real quickly, just for those who are unaware, what does a stand-down mean in the military?
So like a stand down is when everything kind of stops. Like whenever so normally you have your training, you have your training that you're supposed to do that day. And a stand down, it's been pretty common to have like a drinking and driving stand down. If you have several DUIs that go on base, if you're having a lot of sexual harassment, Fort Hood recently did it with the Vanessa Guillen fallout and everything that happened there. It's a refocusing on core values, core principles, and core behavior and conduct that you should be displaying as a military member.
Yeah. And, from the highest levels, that has to happen. And I respect the Secretary of Defense for doing this, because I think that's the start of it. But really where we're going to see some change is the lower level NCOs and the lower level officers really just affecting that change and that culture within their own individual units, because this is still obviously a very pervasive problem throughout the military, not just the Navy. And unfortunately, it's not something that's going to happen overnight. And with this one stand down, we're just going to sit back and be like, oh, the racism problem is solved. That's not the case, unfortunately. But it is a good start that he's doing this.
And I think with this type of story, there's a lot of social issues in the military that the young people in the military really lead the way on. Like whenever Don't Ask, Don't Tell was ended, it was primarily the olds that were having a problem with it going away. The young people didn't give a fuck. Like they were like, sure, whatever. It's more and more common. Even though a lot of these stories that are coming out about racism is from the junior enlisted, I feel like it's the junior enlisted across the board that is going to make this change. Like that it's going to say that this isn't acceptable. Sure, the older people and the leaders have to do this as well, but this is going to be something that the mass pack of the greatest sum of enlisted folks are going to have to change amongst themselves.
But it falls on the older and the higher ranks. Like they just were like, all right, gang, no more Confederate flags. Like NASCAR beat them to it. NASCAR was ahead of the military on this. And I think too, well, he's still in, like, I read time and time again, we read stories like this where some dickhead is being racist online and it's a young officer, young this or young that, and he hasn't been kicked out yet. They're looking to see, get them the fuck out, have zero tolerance, and just absolutely fuck them over and show that it is not even tolerated for a fucking second. Like, I don't know
what I would like to see in a situation like this, where somebody that's in charge, like a very high ranking person, whether it be enlisted or officer in the military, comes forward and says, you know what? I don't give a fuck about undue command influence. You are done. Like, and just be straight up, not do the proper administrative channels or anything like that. Just come out, make a statement, make an example. Like, I will fuck you up personally if you do this type of thing.
I think it's important to note that the military needs to not be afraid to just bear our warts. It's not perfect. The people in the military are not perfect, but when you do bear those warts, you find them, take care of them in the manner you just outlined, chaps.
And we shy away a lot from actually going after people and giving them a tongue down dressing, like, and actually just ripping somebody to shreds. And there is a lot that has moved away from that. I still think that has a huge place in the military. You find somebody does something like this, you call a safety stand down, you bring that dumb bitch out on the stage, and you have every staff NCO, every officer on the stage just fucking destroying this kid. Like,
everybody gets one slap, one good,
like, not like just absolutely slap. Embarrass the fucking shit out of them. Like, that's what should happen. It's mass embarrassment, I think that kind of stuff is completely appropriate in that situation.
Yeah, just as a society, we've made this change to,
public shaming.
Yeah, like speaking through everything.
Tar and feather.
Yeah. So I agree. I think it's okay to publicly, or at least in front of their unit, maybe not on a stage in front of a lot of people, or maybe you do that. I don't know.
I think
maybe you do that. Maybe
you know what? I figured it out. They got to build a big safety stand down. The whole battalion comes. You build the Home Alone house, open set in the middle of the floor, and they have
I knew at some point Kate was going to get uncomfortable and make a joke.
Yeah. They have to go through the Home Alone house.
I thought she was going to say
the hot doorknob.
They got to send these people to that lighthouse from round 2, and instead of this little light of mine, they make them sing "We Are the World."
Yeah, and once the person expresses extreme regret, then the commanding officer actually just hands them a turtle dove. Which would be nice.
Yeah. That
should be a nice little.
No, but jokes aside, like, it is a pervasive problem in the military. Let us be clear on that. And if you are a junior leader, be it enlisted or officer, and you're listening to this right now, it is your charge to change this culture. It can start with you. I think that's the problem too, is people always think, well, if I do my unit, what difference is that going to make? The military, the Army, the Marines, and Navy, it's so big. If I just do this one little thing, that's not going to make a difference. And that's wrong. It will make a difference because it can start there, and it's like a pebble in a pond. One little pebble can ripple and have an effect across the entire pond. So start with yourself and focus on that. And hopefully you can be the change that you want to see in the military.
In the words of longtime stoolie Carl Sagan, if you want to make an apple pie from scratch, you must first invent the universe.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yes.
And one last note on public shaming. It was always very impactful when somebody of a senior rank got a DUI and they had to address the battalion. And like, you have to go out there and get that public shaming. That it always hit home a little bit more. Make it fucking public, like public. There, I remember on Quantico, the 2-star that was in charge of Quantico at the time, there was a lieutenant colonel who got a DUI, and it was like a weekend after there was a DUI safety stand down. He got a DUI. His NJP was public. They called a base wide formation where everybody went to the base theater. They had the lieutenant colonel's NJP in front of everybody.
Wow.
And it was like, holy shit.
But no, Chaps, you're right though, because if someone does something wrong and then I just see them walk out of formation and they go into somebody's office and I don't hear any of it, that kind of probably gets forgotten about by lunchtime or by the end of the day. But if I see everything that happens, that is definitely going to get into my earlobe and sink into my brain a lot more. Mm-hmm. I agree.
I would just like to congratulate us for saying that racism is bad and it needs to change. Good for us. What a bold.
Wow. What a brave show we are.
We are.
Good for us indeed. We're also going to take a brave stance and encourage a little bit more singing, because in round number 6, we have some of those motherfuckers still in the National Guard just goofing around and raising their voices.
This is a cool and light story from Paul Zoldra over at Task and Purpose, and I loved it. Have you guys seen the film 1917 yet?
Mm-mm. Yes, I did.
Oh my God. It's so good. It's such an incredible
But isn't
movie.
it like 3 hours long or something?
You're riveted the whole time.
It's a normal length movie.
It's all shot in one shot, basically. There's
one shot, one kill. One shot, everybody knows the rules.
It's absolutely incredible. And one of the most memorable scenes from the film is when a British soldier sings the song "The Wayfaring Stranger" for his comrades in a forest right before they go into battle. So they're in this like foggy tree line. It's very quiet, and to calm everybody's nerves and get them kind of together, this one soldier starts singing to them all. And here's just a quick clip of that sound.
I am a poor wayfaring stranger traveling through this world unknown. I love that song.
That is a good song. And
it is a good song.
Bravo to you. That was actually pretty good.
Thank you.
Lovely. And now soldiers in the Army National Guard have given us remarkable rendition of that song, and others from inside the Library of Congress, which turns out to have pretty incredible acoustics, the Library of Congress. The moments were captured on video by a Guard soldier named Stephen Hutto, who said the singing helped boost morale for soldiers on Capitol duty while they were taking a break the day after the presidential inauguration. Obviously, we all know thousands of National Guard troops were called in to provide security in Washington and expected to remain till the end of March. According to Hutto, soldiers from the Texas Army National Guard's 36th Infantry Division were inside the James Madison building of the library taking a break when all of a sudden a woman's voice began to sing, Specialist Harley Fairweather. Let's play that clip. When she finished, soldiers had from all across the building, they heard this beautiful voice coming through, and other soldiers knew they had a singing recruit in their midst. So they were like, PFC Paul McGiffin, sing back to her. And he then responded to her with that. He then responded to her with this. He began to chant the theme from the video game Halo, and others joined in.
Did you guys not know that was from Frozen 2? Like that's how they would call back and forth to each other?
I've never seen Frozen or Frozen 2. Sorry.
I'm surprised my kids don't do it. We do it in HEB. Like one of them's missing.
Well, here is that clip. So there's only an eerily beautiful. There's only one other example I can think of where I've witnessed this happen in the military, and it was in First War. It had been a ton of firefights that day, super crazy day, and all of a sudden a sandstorm came through. It was windy. Everything calmed down right at sunset, and the sky still had that cloudy dust to it. It was like everything was in this pink haze, and there was a stillness so deep that came over the village. The firing stopped. Everything was so intensely still that everyone stopped what they were doing. And then one of the Marines started singing, and it was like chills up and down my spine. But I got out my camera and recorded it. Do you guys care if I play it?
Yeah, let's hear it.
Okay, here we go.
Wow. It's beautiful.
Yeah, really beautiful. So just gives you the chills, goose
It
pimples.
really does. And I have one more thing to say about Stephen Hutto. Like because his voice was so beautiful, if I was the platoon sergeant there and I wanted him to sing, do you know what I would say?
Tell me.
Hutto up.
What?
That's good. That's
Huddle
What?
up. Like huddle up in football.
Oh,
Huddle up.
oh boy.
It's goofing. It's
Well,
a little last name goofing.
This was the episode where sometimes the wheels fell off the wagon, and then
Okay.
we're going to rely on Kyle to grab the wagon wheels and put them back on and keep rolling.
Oh, what's that song?
Hard to say.
God
All right, let's
damn
move
it.
on to save rounds and alibis. Kyle, we'll start with you.
Yeah, really looking forward to throwing this one together. This will be a joy. Check out our YouTube still. We're still putting complete episodes up and all that stuff. And everyone's got a lot of projects going on. Chaps is doing his Bible stuff, which the Bible is fucked up. I mean, just, the Old Testament might be the most fucked up thing in the world. But it's kind of funny because I went to Catholic school from K to 12, been through the Bible front, back, and sideways. That might be why I really don't care about religion at all. But it is, I mean, it's funny stuff. And I've never known anyone to know this much about the Bible, which is really weird, chaps. It's just kind of strange. So yeah, check that out. Kate's doing Out and About, and Chaps is also fishing with Carl, which is why it's weirdly addicting. So yeah, everyone's got a lot going on.
We won our first walleye tournament the other day, which is very exciting.
Congratulations.
Yeah, came in first, came in with we got 3 fish walleye. We came in with 33 pounds on the boat, which was nice.
Wow.
Yeah, so check out all that stuff and go buy some merch on our store on Barstool because it's all there. And the tank with the rotors shooting, saying pew pew, that shirt still makes me laugh every single time.
That's a very funny shirt.
It's my favorite.
Right.
So yeah, that's all I got.
Catherine?
Nothing.
Whoa. Give us an update. What are we doing with baby size? We went through kumquat. We went through apricot. I believe you had mango. There was a satsuma involved somewhere. You also had some of those cotton candy grapes. What fruit are we on now?
Well, so I always try to compare it to something in the military, something size in the military. I would say a folded up E-tool is where we're at right now.
Hopefully not with the same sharp edges. You don't want a serrated baby.
Feels like it sometimes, honestly, but he's about the size of a folded up E-tool right now. And I believe the head of the shovel is down. I believe that's
how are we doing on the massages?
I can't sleep. I'm starting to get sciatica for the first time in my life. Sciatic nerve pain down the back, my left side of my back and down my leg. So I'm hobbling around all the time. I feel like my vagina is cracking in half and I get heartburn, but that doesn't stop me from eating bags of semi-sweet chocolate chips at midnight. So
you are the only pregnant woman I know who's consistently up till 2 a.m.
Last night, the night before last, I was up till 5:45.
What?
Last night it was around 4.
Is insomnia a part of pregnancy, or is this unique to you?
No, it's a huge part of it because you're just so uncomfortable, and the baby
it's not
wakes.
Like Kate was exactly sleeping well before.
Right. It's not like she was getting her full 8.
Not at all. And he comes to life at night, and like now it's like the movie Alien.
Oh, he's definitely your child then if he comes to life at night.
You can see his like little limbs like poking through my stomach, and
that's weird.
He wakes up at like midnight and he's like, let's
starts
fucking
making
go.
lumber dogs right there.
Philly lumber dogs in there, but no, he's doing good. I'm excited. Next appointment is this coming week. Guys, I still think I can't get the idea out of my head that I'm going to try and do this thing drug free.
No.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know.
Well,
I've never had a child.
It's one of those
before.
things that you're going to deal with it. It's going to obviously, I mean, I've never had a baby come out of my vagina, but I would imagine that it's something that you can go back later and be like, well, and you could dunk on people.
Well, it'll help me shame other moms, which I heard is one of the best parts of motherhood is shaming other moms. But I heard that if you don't get the epidural, you can really, again, I'm circling back to my taint here real quick. You can really feel what's going on. And so you know how to bend so as to not rip your taint a little better. Because if you can't feel anything, you're just blowing that kid out. And you're like, I don't care what happens down there. I care very much what happens.
Now, I know you're going to be taking a break from the podcast for a little while when you have the baby.
Yeah.
Can you make a commitment, even if you don't video it, audio, so we can go through and get some of the gems so we can demonstrate what some of these women go through whenever they have a baby?
I've been thinking about, because
that'll be a round
baby
transition.
dad Pat. It could be a this recruit. Stop Soren.
This recruit needs to go on light duty.
This recruit requests an epidural.
That sound. That
You're gonna need the safety van.
That PFC sound actually sounds like the perfect giving birth.
Scream.
Anyway, yeah, we'll record
Show me
it.
your war face.
That's it for me.
All right, Cons.
There's this account that I follow on Instagram. It's called Dumois, and they just post weird story submissions about celebrities and well-known figures. And there was a lot of hubbub this week about Marine Adam Driver and how he's just not a nice person.
What?
So that was unfortunate to hear.
Who said?
Well, there's all these anonymous submissions, so you got to take it with a grain of salt. But when it's multiple people, different people, and they're all saying the same thing, it makes you wonder. So, Adam Driver, if you'd like to clear your name, please feel free to come on Zero Blog 30.
Have you ever seen, you know how sometimes it'll be like a Photoshop where they'll just like barely mess with somebody's face just a little bit to improve it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
If you take Adam Driver's eyes and move them up, I think it was up like half an inch, he becomes the most handsome person to ever live.
Damn it.
But right now he looks kind of like raccoony, like
Ooh.
just a kiss of raccoony if you have him there. But if you move his eyes up just a little bit, handsome.
He doesn't have butthole eyes.
So come on the pod, Adam. Yeah, we can talk
come
about
on
your
the
raccoon
pod
face.
now that we've
Yeah,
said
come
these
defend
things.
your eyes, you fucking weirdo. How about that?
Seriously.
All right.
And then also, people probably don't know this gentleman by name, but they would definitely recognize him if they saw his face. Actor Hal Holbrook, who he was served in the Army in World War II. He was a staff sergeant, but he was an actor. He passed away this week. But one thing I wanted to mention, one of his quotes from the movie All the President's Men, because I think it just really resonates with everything that's going on right now. And we've echoed this sentiment before, but one of the lines from All the President's Men is when he, as playing Deep Throat, says, "Forget the myths the media created about the White House. The truth is these are not very bright guys and things got out of hand." And we've long said that about politicians in general, how we have this idea that they are these really regal, smart, intelligent people that have all the answers figured out, when in fact that's not the case for a lot of them. So just be wary of that. But also, RIP to Hal Holbrook, veteran and amazing talented actor. Too bad to see him go.
All right, I have two. I usually don't have one that's really significant at all. I just sent you guys an email, all three of you, so I need you to open up that email that I just sent to you because I want to make a comment off of that. I have been absolutely loving the show 1,000 Pound Sisters. It is so
you got me
enjoyable.
hooked on it. You got me hooked on it too, dude. I can't stop.
They start talking about sodies. They yell at each other all the time. It's just fantastic. And I always like to say, who does this person remind me of? I play that game all the time. Like, who does this person look like? Who does that person remind me of? I couldn't figure it out for Tammy, who is the sister who weighs 650 pounds. I finally figured it out last night, and I had just the big old epiphany. If you haven't seen her, Google her, but she looks like Ronda Rousey if Ronda Rousey just did nothing but eat for a decade straight. You guys agree?
Yeah, that's a good sense.
She's the only person I've ever seen with forehead fat.
I feel bad. Like, clearly she's an unhealthy person to be that heavy. So I feel bad for her, but that is an accurate assessment. Okay. Sorry.
Kate, are you upset or no?
I love the show and I love the sisters, and they're sassy and they love sody pops and they're trying. They're trying.
Are they?
Are they?
No.
They're not.
No.
And I don't remember what my second one. It just escaped me, and it was very good. I don't remember.
You got to write them down there, champ.
I know, but it just popped into my brain. That's okay. We'll be back on Tuesday for another edition. Thanks for joining us, everybody. We'll see you then. Sound the Retreat.